Hi everybody, welcome to our GMP Live feature today. Strangely enough, it's actually day 21. I can't believe how the time has just flown by while we've been working away at this GMP tips and tricks and information pieces. So today we're going to talk a little bit about records maintenance. Records maintenance is super important, as you can imagine, just with all of the required record keeping components of good manufacturing practices. The maintenance of those records is super important. So the intent of records maintenance speaks like this within the regulation. Records are maintained as evidence of product production and quality should an investigation ensue from a customer complaint, a product recall, or otherwise. So we talk about each various piece of good manufacturing practices, and then we talk about what the evidence for those individual components are. And now what this is saying is that the records we are learning about and understanding and figuring out how to make and keep those records and the maintenance of them is actually the evidence that they are looking for. And this says it right here in black and white. So manufacturers, packagers, labelers, importers, and distributors need to meet the minimum record keeping requirements, which we discussed yesterday. And I really do apologize for not getting that PDF up. I don't know if I can, it doesn't look like I can. I will put the PDF up right after this video. I did finish it this morning. Yesterday was a crazy day. We had a health emergency in my family, and so I literally spent most of my day taking care of somebody I love very dearly. So I didn't have a chance to get it done. That being said, I did get it done this morning, and it is ready to post, and I will post it the second this video is done. So that goes over the record keeping roles and responsibilities for each of the various roles within GMP. So the records must demonstrate that each batch has been manufactured, packaged, and labeled according to good manufacturing practices as described in your master production document. So I don't call it a master production document, I call it a master formulation document. Because to me, it's not a product, it's a formulation. And so within this document, you go through step by step every single ingredient that is going into it, every piece of equipment and tool that is used to make it, and the process by which you make the product. And so if you have that record complete and set up correctly, that actually becomes a piece of this maintenance. So records must demonstrate that each batch has been manufactured, packaged, and labeled according to the procedures described in the master formulation document. For importers, a certificate of manufacture is an acceptable alternative to a batch or lot document. However, complete batch documentation must be made available upon request. So when you're importing, if you are importing from a GMP compliant facility, then let me quantify that. A GMP compliant facility that is based on ISO 22716-2007, then that is considered the equivalent of the GMP requirements here in Canada. So if you have the certificate of manufacture stating that it is made in a facility that is GMP compliant according to the ISO standards, then that is where your GMP compliance comes from. So when the manufacturer is located outside of Canada, specific parts of the master production document considered to be a trade secret or confidential may be held on behalf of the Canadian importer by an independent party in Canada. However, the importer or independent party must ensure that the NNHPD can access that data in a timely manner if ever they should request it. Records must demonstrate that each lot of product has been manufactured, packaged, labeled, and imported according to the requirements of Part 3 of the regulations, which is the good manufacturing portion of the records. Of the regulations. So Section 3 is all the good manufacturing practices straight across the board. And that is where the guide to good manufacturing practices actually comes from. So When a product is manufactured, packaged, and or labeled within Canada and or imported, it is recommended that the site license holder maintain a copy of the contractor's site license when applicable. So if you're importing from a different site, whether it be outside of Canada or inside of Canada, you do need a copy of that contractor's site license. You need to ensure you have a document and maintain records of all tasks carried out by that contractor. So if you're using a contract manufacturer, you need all of the records associated with the individual NPN or CN that you are ordering from the contract manufacturer. You need to establish and maintain a document or written technical agreement covering the arranged manufacturing, packaging, labeling, importing, storage, or distribution in accordance with Part 3 of the regulations. So again, the good manufacturing practices. Let me just go through this quickly here. The technical agreement or relevant parts thereof should be made available to the NNHPD upon request. So again, whether you have those records or whether the contract manufacturer has those records to prevent his or her confidential formulations and personal information about their company. So to prevent that from getting out, they would then hold the confidential documentation, but it must be available to the NNHPD upon request, period. End of discussion, no two ways about it. So when a product is manufactured, packaged, and or labeled outside of Canada, importers must ensure that the records can be accessed in a timely manner. So my recommendation is if you are importing, ensure that you have all of your import records, all of your import certifications in place, taken care of in a binder, easily accessible anytime. Because you may have a recall notice, you may have an inspection, you may have an audit. Any of those things that might happen, and legally Health Canada can do that at any point in time, you need to have your documentation in order on the spot. Now, if you are manufacturing yourself, no big deal. Your documentation is in your binders on your desk, it's on your computer, it's accessible to you. If you are importing or if you are ordering from a contract manufacturer, that changes the ballgame a little bit because you don't have their original records. And so in that case, I would ensure as part of your contract and agreement with these people that you have a copy of all documentation that NNHPD may require. If there is confidential proprietary formula information, then they may keep that separate, but it must be accessible to the NNHPD at any point in time. So manufacturers must maintain evidence of records and raw material testing conducted with respect to every lot and batch of raw material used in the manufacture of NHPs. So again, this goes back to our certificates of analysis, our Msg Us, our GMCS, any of those reportings that your supplier should have needs to be made available to you upon order, and then you need to save copies of that on your hard drive. Now, I actually have a file that is product specifications, and I have that electronic file separated into specific company files. So I have like Windy Point, and I have Voyager, and I have what else? I have the Formula Shop, a bunch of different suppliers that I use, and each of those folders then holds any of the product information. Now I have it broken down further into, so within my folder, let's say, I will have, I don't even know, let's say Germall Plus. So I will have the MSDS sheet for Germall Plus, I will have the certificate of analysis, I will have I actually have a patent copy, so I know the exact breakdown percentages, because when you're doing a CNF, you need to list each ingredient within Germall Plus individually, and in order to know what percentage of your total formula is one of the components within Germall Plus, you need to have that breakdown. So all of my documentation for Germall Plus, let's say, is within one file folder within the larger folder of, let's say, Voyager, where I order from. So it's as simple as directing, the NNHPD to that file. Again, if you have all of this stuff already scanned on to your computer, you can do something as simple as share a link via ePost Connect or via email if ever there is a question or a notice of recall or an audit or an inspection or anything like that. And a lot of times, if you have the documentation ready and accessible and available in that timely manner, that's where it stops. It doesn't go any further. As an example, when I had the recall, I had to recall a product based on a supplier material that was faulty. And so what happened is I had my documentation all in order. I had my lot and batch and my master formulation, and all of my information was immediately available to Health Canada. Now, because of that, Health Canada didn't bother sending an inspector over to check my site. They didn't bother checking my actual product and my formulation. They trusted in the fact that because I was compliant with the GMP requirements, that they were getting the true, accurate, real-time information. And so that is where it ended. There was no further investigation. There was no further anything. And honestly, if you can provide real-time, accurate information that is well maintained and well presented, that is what Health Canada wants to see, and that's what's going to save you long term in a situation like a recall or an audit or an inspection. I'm going to pause for a moment. My throat's getting dry. All right, so now we get into packagers must maintain evidence of records for packaging material, any testing that is conducted on the packaging material, and with respect to material used to package NHPs and CNs. So if you are using, a lot of times I'm really into clean beauty and circular product life cycles. And so what that means is that I will choose to use a recycled cardboard package for a lot of my products. Let's talk about, I have a specific product for pregnant moms to protect them from stretch marks and things like that. So I have it in one of the circular cardboard wind-ups. And so I have to provide information specific to the packaging because I am the packager, not just the manufacturer. And so I need to provide what type of recycling code is associated with that package, where I get it, and what the product specifications from the manufacturer of that packaging are. So again, it's wearing different hats. It's ensuring you know what role you are filling at what point in time and having the specific required documentation for each role. Now we get into maintain evidence showing compliance of each finished product with specifications. So this is a checklist. This is, you have your product specification checklist, and it is broken down according to your GMP manual that says this has been met, this has been met, this has been met. And for each one of those checklists, you must go through as you're making your product, packaging your product, labeling your product, and then storing your product or distributing it. And then at the bottom of that, you sign it and date it. And that is one of the things that has to be original. So your initials have to be original, and your sign off on it has to be original. Again, when you're signing off, who do you think you're signing off as? You're signing off as the quality assurance person. Again, it's that whole big picture of roles and responsibilities within the good manufacturing practices. So other record-keeping practices may include the following. Retain authorized written procedures for all sections of these requirements for reference and inspection. Review written procedures regularly and have authorized employees keep them up to date. Document reasons for revising any procedure and establish a system to ensure that only current procedures are in use. So that is where we get into archiving documents and ensuring our document creation and our document approval is in order. So when we create controlled documents, we need to have version numbers on them for this reason specifically. We're going to have authorized employees approve, sign, and date all relevant documents related to GMP, such as records of action taken or conclusions reached and procedures, and ensure that any alteration of a document is signed and dated and that the alteration permits reading of the original information. Do not ever alter documents without authorization. Now, the authorization comes down from the CEO of the company and from the authorized quality assurance person. And that's where we're going to leave off for today. I know I said at the beginning this was a 21-day run. I'm changing that on the fly because we did do a couple of days where it was a lot of question and answer and addressing things over multiple days that I had originally planned to make one day. Now, I do want to get through all of the material that I have here for you guys, so I think that I will probably have, well, I know for sure I'll have at least one more day of recording with you guys, and then probably a wrap up. So I would estimate that I will probably finish off on Thursday, and maybe if I can figure out some fun chatting topics on GMP, I'll stretch it to Friday, so it'll be the end of the week. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions at all about GMP or about the required record keeping or about the roles specifically, drop them into the comments, because you have, like, tomorrow's Wednesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that I will address those. And after this is done, it's done. I'm not going to go back and redo all of the GMP stuff. So I'd really like to focus all of our energy and our questions and our growth and learning right now on this GMP portion, so that when we move into a new topic, we can really focus in on that new topic. So that is all I've got for you guys today. It has been a pleasure as usual, and I look forward to chatting with you guys all tomorrow. I will get the PDF up today, and I did notice there was a few questions that were dropped in various areas of the group yesterday that I did not have a chance to get to because of my own personal situation yesterday that was going on. But I will go through today and try and get to those questions and answer them where I can. And I will get the PDF up for you guys just as soon as I'm finished here. So thank you all so much for joining me. As usual, I love the community that we're building, and I really value it, and I value each of your input into it. So take care for now, and have a great afternoon, guys. Bye for now.